In this video, I'm going to show you how to batch process with the image extract panel. The first thing you need to do is close all of your images, then just select your batch settings. There's not really very much to set here in the settings before starting. You need to select your source and destination folders. So first, the source folder is the folder that contains the images that you are going to batch. You can save in the same location, which will actually put it under a subfolder. That way it doesn't mix it in with the originals. Or you can choose a different save folder, which is what I'm going to do here. There's 3 different batch modes. There's extract and edit, which will extract each image and then pause with the image in Photoshop for you to edit before continuing with each image. There's an extract auto, and the extract auto is just going to extract them all and save them. Now you need to be careful with extract auto because honestly, most batches you can't run large batches in this and expect everything to be perfect. So either expect to touch them up after the batch or at least touch some of them up after the batch or touch them up during the batch. Then there's also edit PSD files. Now what the edit PSD files option is for is if you do an extract auto, you have the option to save as a PSD, which will save it with all of your editing layers. And then you can come back and do an edit PSD files batch, which will not extract. It's just going to open the PSD files that were already extracted. You'll have all the layers that you can edit and touch up. And then when you save and continue, you can have it save as a TIFF or a PNG. So that'll save you the time of being in front of the computer while it's extracting, but still allow you to edit each file to where it'll open it, allow you to edit, and then save it. I'm going to start out with this batch doing a full auto batch and have it saved to a single layer TIFF. Now I know in this batch there's a couple images that need touched up. I picked on purpose. That way I can show you what's going to happen if you rely on full auto with a single layer and then need to touch some stuff up. So the last 2 options are your color fix layer, which is that layer that's above the foreground layer that fixes the edge fringing colors. You can have this on or off. I recommend leaving that on. And even if you have that off, you can turn that on in your PSD layer if you're outputting the PSD. All that does is, if you have it off, it turns the layer off. But as mentioned, usually just leave that on. The cropped empty space, this will crop off the pixels around the edge, the unused space, if it's saving as TIFF or PNG. If it's saving as PSD with all layers, this will not crop those. And that's because the PSD files are meant for editing and there might have been something that needs repaired and you don't want to crop that off. Anyway, I'm just going to hit start here. There's only 3 images, so this should be pretty quick. All right, that finished in 7 seconds. It's actually a little bit slower than normal. It's usually like 5 to 6 on this computer, but it is recording the screen, which slows it down just a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and open those images. Now on first glance, these images look perfect, but remember from the prior videos when I mentioned that if you're looking at the extractions against this transparent grid, it's very deceiving and you're not going to see all the areas that need touched up, as well as if you're looking at it against a solid white, you're not going to see things that need touched up either. That is, if you're extracting off of a white background and then looking at it against white. However, if you're looking at this against another color, and you can see here that there's these little areas of white that are showing through that did not get extracted. And so this is what can happen if, I think this one actually is good, 1 click, but this one here is another one that there's a little area there. Let's give it a different color. Yeah, you see that better now. There's a little area here that's white that did not extract all the way. So if you're doing a single layer and you're just expecting to run full auto, depending on how you're going to use the images, if you're putting those into some graphics that are mostly white anyway, you might not notice, but if you're putting those on a darker background, you're really going to notice those spots. So that's where you have to come back in and touch the images up. And in that case, it's better to extract those as PSD or do the touch-ups as you go. So let's run another batch here. And instead of doing the extract auto, I'm going to do the extract edit and then start batch. So that's going to extract each image, and then it's going to pause with the Photoshop layers here. Now, we are in Photoshop and we have full control in Photoshop here. And I remember from one of the prior videos where I said you could use the background eraser or the select and mask, either one. I'm going to use select and mask here. Probably need to select a larger brush. And then once I'm done and I think it looks good, hit save and continue. It's going to close that image. And when it saves the image, it's going to remove that solid color background too, by the way. It's not going to save it with that. So you don't have to merge it there. This one looks good, so just save and continue. I think on this one, I'm actually going to go in and use the background eraser just to give it a different tool. I'll see if I can actually click on the white there. Yeah, not too bad. So once it looks good, again, just save and continue. Now I've got a second copy of each image because I still had the first images in there. And if you rerun another batch and you've already got images with the same name, it'll put a extension on there. It's not going to overwrite the other ones. Here you can see here's our new images. And if you remember, I did not merge those images before hitting save and continue. It did that for us and got rid of that solid color layer. But as you can see, those touch-ups that we did take effect. Now I'm going to show you the most efficient way, I think, to batch and edit. And that is to first run a batch that's extract auto and have it saved to PSD. And then you can come back and edit those without having to wait for each image to open. So if I hit start batch here, this is going to be full auto mode, so it's not going to stop, but when it saves, it's going to be in PSD. All right, now in this completed folder, you see we have 3 PSD files here. And you see these have all of the layers for us to be able to edit. Now, of course, opening these up in Photoshop one at a time and editing them can be a little more time consuming, so I'm going to close all of these here. And we have a built-in setting in the batch processor. Now the source folder now is going to be different because I saved these in a different location. I'm going to have to select where those PSDs are, and those are in the completed. So this is now our new source folder. I'll save in the same location. That way it's going to go under a subfolder from this location. Now in this folder we've got 9 images right now. We've got 6 TIFFs and 3 PSDs because I ran the batch 3 times. But if we hit edit PSD files, it's only going to open the PSD files from this folder. So just those last 3 that we ran. In this case, I'm going to save it as a TIFF. So it's going to open up each PSD file for us to edit, and then when we save, it's going to save it off as a single layer TIFF. So you can see the advantage here. I didn't have to wait for this image to extract. It just opens it right up. And then I can go into my select and mask, do the touch-ups that are needed, then save and continue. This one looks good. Save and continue. And this one I'll just use that background eraser tool. I'm already here. Save and continue. And so that method, I think, is actually the most efficient if you're planning to edit, and that's just to, as mentioned before, run the first batch as auto, save as PSD. Once the batch is done, change the source folder to where your PSDs were saved, and then you can run the edit PSD files and save those off as a TIFF or a PNG if you want a PNG. But let's open those images up. So we just processed these 3 PSDs. So now we've got a new subfolder here of TIFF images. And let's look at it against the solid color. And you can see that those areas of white are gone that we touched up. So anyway, just a few different ways to batch, but that last way that we did is actually my favorite way because it's the most efficient. Anyway, thanks for watching, and if you're interested at all in image extract, please be sure to visit our website. That is pixnub.com.